Are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready to go.
We're going to level up your KDP game. Here's the thing. This is not a coloring book. This is not an adult or a kid's coloring book. This is not a low content book. This is something that with just a little bit more effort is going to put you above everybody else doing KDP books. This is going to set you apart. It has the potential to make $5,000 a month, and doing a series can eventually make you the sweet money. So let's dive in. Remember that by doing just a little bit more than low content books, by doing medium content books, such as word searches and mazes and coloring books, you already set yourself above and beyond so many others that are doing journals and sketchbooks. I did journals and sketchbooks. I get it. I've sold some journals and sketchbooks, a couple, but I've sold more medium content books. So imagine doing just a little bit more than the mazes or the word searches, designing just a little bit more, spending a little bit more time on an item, then you are going to separate yourself from the thousands of others like us out there making KDP books. Don't forget, I have all of this written on my website at reneeclancy.com. Hop on over there. The steps of what I'm going to talk about today, there are a lot. There's a lot in this particular book that I'm going to talk about. It took me 4 days to make the first book. But as you know, that learning curve at the very beginning is what's the hardest. Once you get past that learning curve, you're going to be able to cut back on that time and make each book after this better, faster, and improve. So the first book I made, I started it on Sunday, finished designing everything, uploading about Wednesday or Thursday. And then last night I started my next book, the second in this series, and I'm already halfway done with the illustrations. The story is done, everything. If you haven't guessed already, it's a children's book. Now, there are so many things to this children's book to not only make it easier for you, but to help you create books that people will buy. I'm going to walk you through how to design the book, what type of story you want to make, how to use ChatGPT and AI for all of it. I am not an artist at all, because I can see that. I need to rely on websites and other tools that I subscribe to in order to help me. Now, remember, you don't have to subscribe in order to get assistance. You can do all of this on your own. There are lots of free materials out there. I just use a lot of these subscriptions that I'm going to refer to because it helps things go by a lot faster for me and it helps me create a lot more, so I find value in it. The other thing is I like to stay usually in one platform. And as many people do, like I like to stay, when I'm doing a maze or a word search, I stay just in BookBolt. If I'm doing a coloring book, I definitely use Kindle and BookBolt. I use Kindle for the creation of the coloring items, of the swirls and things like that, and then I format everything through BookBolt. So as you'll see here, every time you make a more challenging book, it's going to require more tools, which again is what's going to set you apart from everybody, because everybody else is going to be using just one tool or doing it on their own. So as soon as you're incorporating more support and more tools, you are going to up your game. So I'm actually going to be switching between 3 tools on this one. Don't worry, I'm going to walk you through all of the steps and show you how to do it. I'm going to show you how ChatGPT helped me write the book. I'm going to show you how Kindle and OpenArt helped me design the illustrations, and then how BookBolt formatted the whole thing for me. So let's dive in and I'll show you how I did it, and I want you to do it too. Another note or thing to remember on this is my book is not perfect. If you waited until something was perfect before you published it, you would never publish. The idea is to learn from everything that you publish, move on, and do better the next time. And I think every author, creator, whether it's a content creator, or illustrator, or artist, has to learn that and has to be okay with what you create and realize that, what's the saying, perfect is the enemy of good or great. So at some point I had to look at it and go, I'm good with this. I think it looks great. I would purchase this as a parent. And then on the next one, I'm going to continue to improve and move on. First of all, the what to write about. I wanted to write about something that was important to me, something that meant a lot to me and my family. And as a working mom and dad, we weren't really there for our kids in the morning for breakfast, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and so she had time to do breakfast for us. I always felt bad as a working parent, just throwing a snack in my kids' hands, putting them in the car and taking them to the daycare before school or whatever the item the place that they were going was. So I made sure that Saturdays were really special for us. So I called it Pancake Saturday. We would, as a family, make pancakes together and, put colors and chocolate chips and the kids would stir everything. And it was a special Saturday for us. I hope that they remember that. And if they don't, that's fine. I'll remind them. But I wanted to make a book about working parents and how they show love for their kids and from the kids' point of view, how they know that their parent loves them. I struggled writing this particular book. The theme is a great one, but it's pretty complicated and in-depth. So I thought, once again, I need to take a step back from what I think would be a good book and sell. And I need to identify what's selling already or what topics are out there that parents are looking for in 2024. So I found this article on Blurb, and it goes through the hot topics and items for 2024. And it talks about how children's book trends have very specific ideas or themes around them. The top 3 children's book trends that you should look for are diversity and inclusivity, emotional intelligence, and environmental awareness. Now, obviously, these are themes that are not new. We've seen these throughout many books for many, many years. But the fact that Blurb identified these 3 themes as being the top in 2024 tells me that I need to set aside what I think is going to sell, and I need to, recognize that the experts have spoken. I can maybe write a book about my idea later, but to practice and get going, I want to go ahead and dive into, I chose emotional intelligence. So I jumped on over to ChatGPT. At first, I just said, write a children's story for me. It was terrible. It was absolutely horrible. And so then I actually asked ChatGPT if I wanted to write a children's story, where should I start?
Why didn't I think of that?
And it said, provide a theme. And then it gave steps like ask for an outline and then expand on the outline. So that's what I did. Since I identified emotional intelligence as the theme I wanted to do, I said, please create a description of a book for me around emotional intelligence. And it did. It wrote a paragraph identifying the main person in my story, the main character. Her name is Mia, and they called it the Mia and the Feelings Garden, and how everything in that garden represented a feeling. The red flower represented anger, and the green flower represented shyness, or I think that was pink flower. You get the idea. So then I said, great. Now write an outline for me. So the tip here when you're using ChatGPT to write a children's story is chunk it. Don't just say, write a children's story for me. Start with, this is my theme, write a short description, then ask it to expand, write an outline. Then you can review that outline and say, please change this idea or that small idea and redo it so that you're chunking it as you go. Really quickly, if you are enjoying this content or finding any value in it, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe. It really helps me in the growth of my channel. Thanks. Then when I asked it to create a 35-page story, it did. And it was much more detailed, and it was something that I was able to break down and go, yep, I really like that. It definitely took some tweaking. I realized I really wanted it to rhyme also, so I asked it to rhyme, and it did. There were some parts of the rhyme that were horrible, and I had to tweak some words. So don't think that this is a one and done deal. So that's where you're going to start when it comes to AI writing your story for you. Okay, let's get to the illustrations. The illustrations were a lot more challenging than I thought they were going to be. And I really had to troubleshoot, almost like molding clay. When you're really working specific areas, you want it to be just how you want it. And now that I know the process and the best way to do it, the second book is already, the illustrations are already almost done. And I just started it last night. So once you get the process down, it's going to be a lot easier. First, I went to ChatGPT and I asked it to give me a description of Mia. Gave me a wonderful description. Now, this is where I learned a lot, but I wasted a lot of time in this particular area because I didn't know how to get my character to look the same over and over doing different things. The trick here is to identify a style that it's okay to show imperfections and to not have it really perfect. So for example, here are some examples of the AI models that I created through Kiddle and through OpenAI. I put the description in there, the same description, and every time I clicked output, it gave me a different image of my character. And so I really wanted to do more of a Disney Pixar well-formed character. that was not going to work. Every time it looked so different, I could not get it close enough to be able to have it turn its head or be walking or sitting or just reproduce the same one over and over, and it wasn't working. I finally identified that watercolor was the best option for the design I wanted to use so that I could create images over and over, and it was okay to have little imperfections. It was okay if the coloring was off a little bit. It was okay if the face shape was a tiny bit off. You could still tell it was the same character. I also, through this process, got a lot better at OpenAI and what Kittle required in order to create an AI reference. I'm going to go ahead and show you the very first step you're going to need when you're creating a character in OpenAI. First, I'm going to copy and paste my description, and then I'm going to switch my model. In the model, I can choose the watercolor children's book or illustration style. So this is just a style. You'll see my other options here. I'm working on my next book. So with that particular model chosen, I'm going to go over to the description that ChatGPT made for me, copy and paste that description into my prompt. Then here under the show more settings, I'm going to use the commonly used, these are the negative AI prompts to help you get a person who has only one head and the correct amount of fingers and hands. Okay, here is one particular image of Mia that it created. Now, I really like this image, and I went through quite a process of identifying which Mia I was going to choose. For example, some had more blonder hair, some had different shoes, some didn't have a hat. But I want to show you how to change just a little bit in it in one particular image through AI to make it more like yours. I tried to take this image and say, okay, take this and now make her sitting on the grass. It did not work. But let me show you the changes you can make. I'm going to click edit. Now, if you'll see, manual brush is clicked, and I'm just going to repeat watercolor style, choose good quality, and have it match the original image style. I don't need 4 images. I'm just going to do 2 samples. These turned out great. I'm going to open them up. Okay, that sunflower looks good. This one looks fine too. I would accept both of them. So when I click select, it replaces her current flower with that sunflower. One other thing I'm going to change on this is in all of the other images that were created, her clothes are a little bit different, and that's okay. I had to kind of assume, well, she's going to wear different clothes every day, so it's okay that some are different. But in all of the images, her headband on her hat is pink. So that I am going to fix here. So I made the circle a little smaller. I'm going to highlight that band and type in pink ribbon, watercolor style, and click create. Let's see what we have here. That ribbon looks great, and that ribbon looks great. I'm going to go with the first one. Click select, and there's my Mia. So I'm going to download, and then I'm going to jump on over to Kittle. I went to Book Bowl and I set up this book so I could identify what the dimensions are, and then I created those artboards in Kittle so that the dimensions would be correct. Let me show you what I did. I'm just going to do one sample page, and then I'll show you the entire book at the end, and then I'll kind of show you my walkthrough. So let's pretend like this is the first page right on the inside, or it could even be the cover. Here we are starting with our artboard. Remember, it's watercolor, so I want to go ahead and I want a watercolor background. Let's see, she's got a pink dress, so I'm going to go ahead and pick this one. So here's my image with the watercolor in the background. I'm going to upload the image I just downloaded. You could keep this particular image exactly as it is. It has the watercolor paper in the background. It's already square. We could spread it out, make it cover the whole thing, but I want it a little bit more isolated, and I want it to identify and be consistent with the rest of my book, and I'll show you what I mean. So I'm clicked on the picture, and I'm going to pick AI Background Remover. And look at how easy that was. Now it's her isolated with that beautiful pink background. I've got some little bits down here, so I'm just going to erase that. I click on the eraser, and I can delete that. I'm going to delete that and keep this one flower there. Little piece of hair there, click done, and there she is. Then I would put text on the top. Let me show you my book. Remember, this is a no judgment zone. This is the first one I've done, and hopefully this is an example of, wait, let me show you an example. This is when I got over my fear of trying to be perfect. I went to Amazon. When I saw this book, The Color Monster, it's adorable. It really is a sweet book with a really wonderful story. But when I saw the art, I realized, a book can be very unique and very successful. It doesn't have to follow one particular style. So look at this book. It's so different. And I don't know if you've read this to your children. I don't know if this was done with AI or someone drew this, but look at how unique this is. Is this perfectly illustrated? Does this follow a traditional style? No. And it has 14,301 ratings. This book has made so much money. Yes, it came out in 2018, but look at how unique this book is. This totally could have been done in AI. When I saw this, I thought, okay, I'm okay with my book and it not being perfect. So here is Mia, and this is the very first page. It goes through each particular flower that she feels. The yellow one is happiness, and then the blue one, is obviously sad. Then we have the red one for angry, and then we have this pink one. Let me show you how to add flowers and then kind of blend them together. I'm going to identify the artboard, come on over here to my Kittle AI, and describe the flowers that I want. I'm going to click on my watercolor art style the picture that I uploaded so it knows that's the style that I want, and then I click create image. And here are the flowers that it made. Now, does it match the flower behind? Not really. First of all, let me remove the background of these flowers. I'm going to send this to the back. And now Mia's in the front. So I could erase this flower here. And then I'm going to copy this one, drag it over. It looks obviously exactly like the other one. So I'm going to flip it horizontally, make it just a little bit bigger, and then bring that right there. Looking at this is not very consistent. I actually would probably go back and redo it and say sunflowers in order to make it match the flower in her hand, but it works. So here, going through the rest of her flowers, there were times when I added a mother. Some of the items here, for example, Kittle AI made the schoolhouse in the background for me and the kids playing. Some of them are a little bit simpler. So when I came here to BookBolt, I uploaded, as you can see, the entire layout to the left side of the page. And then on the next page was the right side of the page. So then when I go to check it, I could see a little bit better in book view exactly what it was going to look like. And then I uploaded it to KDP. Now, just as a reminder, my book is not perfect. I know it can be improved on. If you are a professional artist, I am sorry. But for my first book, I think it's pretty darn good. And I'm just going to keep improving as I go. And that's our goal, is to set ourselves above the rest, separate from the minimum that everyone else is doing. If you just do a little bit more, your books are going to be even better than everyone else's. Good luck on your KDP journey.